Hello, everyone. Welcome to the newest episode of the Digital Adoption Show, Season 3. I'm your host for the episode, Tamanna Chanana, and I take care of the global growth marketing here at Whatfix. So, in today's discussion, we'll talk about elevate your career with personal growth, 5 proven techniques at work. Okay, now coming to the point, let me introduce the guest for today's episode, Carrie Berg. She's the VP of Learning and Development at Teladoc Health. She has over 20 plus years of experience in the industry in sales, sales training, marketing, strategy, commercial effectiveness, L&D, talent, you name it, she has done it. Before joining Teladoc Health, Kerry held various leadership positions in training at iRhythm Technologies and Cardio DX and acted as a consultant to several startup organizations, which are there are certain clinical sales roles that she has also done with Medtronic, Abbott, and Biotech. Now, let me introduce Kerry. Welcome to the show, Kerry. Thanks a lot for taking out time to be a part of this wonderful show with us.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome, amazing. So to initiate the conversation, let's talk about your experience as an L&D professional, the organization that you have worked with, and your journey in the L&D space so far.
Sure. So L&D has definitely been a hike, a marathon, a long swim. It's like a triathlon, always going uphill. So my background, I started off as a clinician working in cardiology and cardiac rehab and went into the pharmaceutical sales space, med device sales space. And because of my healthcare background, I was really good at teaching and teaching others about the body when they didn't have a healthcare background. And over time, that evolved to going from pretty large, well-established medical device companies into smaller startups where they hired me first to build out sales training, and then they also needed somebody to help with learning and development. So my path has been really kind of unique in how I've landed in learning and development. I still have a huge passion for sales training and sales development, but now I'm also more broadly involved with employee development, their growth, leadership development, executive presence and coaching. And I also enjoy that. So, it's dealing with people and personalities, and you either like that or you don't, but that's part of what makes it a marathon, a hike, a swim, all of those things, is because every personality is unique.
Wow, I think so. There's a lot that people will learn from you in this episode, since you come with a lot of experience. Because what I believe is it's more to do with people rather than the companies that we work for. Okay, let's warm you up for the episode. So we usually have this rapid fire. What is that one thing that comes to your mind? Let's talk about that. What's the craziest dare you have ever took?
I think jumping into the Antarctic Ocean off of a boat surrounded by penguins and whales. And I was tied so that when I jumped in, somebody could pull me back because that's how fast the waters were moving. So yeah, it was a polar plunge in Antarctica. It's probably the biggest dare I have ever done.
Oh, I can just imagine that. And this sounds really crazy. But I'm sure you would have got an amazing experience as well.
Yes, I have a lot of photos to document the experience.
Oh, awesome. I think so. I'll personally love to see that, because that kind of dare, I'm sure I can't do that.
That's not for everybody.
Yeah, true. I think so. That's how you are L&D leader, right? You know how to make people learn, do stuff which they don't even think of.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Coming to the second point, what has been on your to-do list the longest?
Oh, probably finishing my doctoral dissertation. And so I'm working on research on women and influence in the workplace. And if anybody has done their PhD, they know that it can be a years-long process. And so I can't wait until that's permanently deleted off of the to-do list. It's on my mind every single day.
Oh, at least I hope that comes to an end soon.
Me too.
Okay, coming to the last question of this rapid fire round, what have you been excited about this week?
I'm headed to a conference next week with a bunch of learning and development professionals that I'm really excited. And so this week it's really working on a couple of talks that I'm conducting And it's always really great to meet with different peers from other organizations and even other industries where a lot of our L&D challenges are the same, but they're also a little bit different. And so you pick up a lot of unique and cool ideas and approaches to how to do things differently.
Oh, nice. All the very best for that conference. But I thought that you'll say about this episode. But anyway.
I am very excited about this episode.
I take that. Okay, coming to the main questions around what we wanted to discuss today. Let's talk more about your story of becoming an L&D leader. What made you decide that this is what you wanted to do?
So the analogy I always use with my team and talking about it is like an 8-lane highway. Like sales training to me felt like a 2-lane highway. Like you're only changing lanes a little bit and it can be a little bit of the same, but in learning and development, you can drive down any lane of an 8-lane highway and have a totally different day. You could be on the onboarding highway, leadership development highway, mentoring highway, talking about innovation highway, storytelling, even compliance. So every day is a different day, but the concepts and the focus of what you're trying to do is the same. You're trying to establish a learning culture. You're trying to develop your employees and allow them to grow and to connect with them. But as an L&D leader, I get to do that driving a lot of different ways. And, I always say, like, sometimes you have speed bumps, sometimes the road is in really bad condition, sometimes you're swerving to avoid something else, but you always get to go from point A to point B. And hopefully you've taken a lot of other people with you on that journey and you've improved their career and grown them as a person. I really thrive in that environment. And I think it's pretty exciting.
In fact, that's what life is all about. Until and unless there's a twist of adventure, we can't really grow, right? And I really love the way your quote says, work hard and be nice to people, because people ideally support each other while we grow together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. A lot of times we have seen that employees don't understand that personal growth is always linked to the professional growth. So what are your thoughts on this?
People always say, like, I'm different at work than I am at home, and you are. You don't show up to work with bedhead in your pajamas most of the time. Now with the pandemic, some of us are still coming to work in our pajamas and maybe with a little bedhead. But I think, you are two different people, but a lot of what you believe and how you act and what's important to you from like an ethos, morality, like how you want to live your life is very similar. So in general, most of us want to grow. We want to be better at our jobs and we want to be better in our personal lives. Like this is why there's so much tools and things out there with how to be more organized, how to finish projects, how to reading books, all of that. So I think that while we may behave differently personally and professionally, what's up here and what we grow in our brain and grow in how we think and approach people and build relationships and all of that goes between both our work life and our personal life. I also think that every moment is a learning opportunity. Even walking around the grocery store and watching how people interact is a moment to understand how people think, listen, communicate, and all of that. And you can do the same thing at work. I learned a lot about leadership development just by watching people in meetings talk to each other. So I think that they both can be very much connected. And it's really what you take from that to change. And then the other key piece of that is having a good amount of self-awareness and knowing what you're good at, what you're not good at, how your behaviors are interpreted, and what are the things that you need to do differently in order to move ahead and to grow your skills.
I think that's one of the greatest lessons if someone can learn from what's happening around you. That's one of the artists used to say that whatever you paint today is the vision that you see while you are roaming around. And until and unless you learn that, then you won't be able to grow as an artist as well. That's what I have been following throughout my career as well. But I think it's a great insight. Do you have any story in your mind that you think you'd like to share with our listeners where a great leader was evolved by learning at work?
Yeah, I can think of a few, and I'll put them in the bucket of watching people really evolve their emotional intelligence and their ability to connect with people. And, you'll say that don't cry at work, there's no emotions at work. And, at times that may be true, but I think actually appreciating that we're all humans and appreciating that we all have emotions and that we all feel a certain way actually allows leaders to grow and to be better. And so along those lines, it's appreciating that people don't think the same way that you do and they don't feel the same way that you do about certain things. Like I always kind of use the analogy of like some people are really, really, really crazy about their cars if you have one. Somebody can have it be filthy, dirty, they don't care, it just gets them from A to B. And then you'll meet somebody who takes their car to the wash 3 days a week and it's spotless and all of that. But if you don't validate that both are solid methods of transportation, like you're saying that the other person is less than you because they don't keep their car as clean. And I think I've watched some leaders really evolve where they finally get to see like just because their car isn't as clean as mine doesn't mean that they're any less of a person and they're not to be respected and all that. And in fact, I should think about why they think that way and how it could teach me something different. So just using the little car analogy, I think is a great example of how leaders can really evolve. If we think that there's only one way to do something and that everybody needs to think the same way that we do and respond with the same type of passion about a clean car versus a dirty car, like we're missing out on the opportunity to grow. So I think even as general employees trying to grow and understand, it's realizing like you are you and you are only you. And there are very few people in the world who even think remotely like you. In fact, there's nobody in the world that thinks like you. And you've got to learn to understand and appreciate everybody around you and appreciate their point of view, their feelings, and the kind of car they drive, whether it's spotless or dirty.
That's right. What do you think while we talk about leadership growth and people evolving from the peers that you have? What do you think? How can technology play an important role while we learn from these? There are concepts around digital transformation, digital adoption, software adoption. There are people who talk about learning in the flow of work. What do you think about that? And how people should interlink the technology learning in their day-to-day lives as well?
I think number one is realizing that we are, just by even Googling something or looking up something on Wikipedia, we are learning. And so there's
Yeah.
a lot of functions that we do that are learning. I think technology is critical. I'm reaching this phase in my life where I'm like not up to speed on all the newest things. And I'm like, what is that? And then I'll encounter somebody who has never heard of Venmo or PayPal. And I'm like, wait, like what? What? And so I'm in this weird spot where I really, really, really appreciate technology and also recognize there's a lot I don't know and understand, and also recognize that there's a lot of people who actually don't know and aren't familiar with it. So I think the first thing is realizing that anytime we're on our computers, we have an internet browser open, and most of us have multiple tabs open. In each one of those tabs, we're learning something and we're doing something. Whether we're in our company systems or we're in our personal email or we just have like CNN News or something like that on the tab, we are learning as we are doing. I think technology needs to be embraced with open arms. Technology can help us do our jobs a lot easier. I'm always looking for efficiencies and ways to navigate things a lot better. I want to get away from doing manual things. Manual spreadsheets can be a safety net for us because we feel like we can do it really, really well. And we very rarely spend the time thinking about how to automate when that could literally save us hours if we took the time. So sometimes you have to invest the time to find the efficiencies, and that all happens in the flow of work. I also think that going back to that Googling concept, if there's something you've never heard of, you should look it up right away and read about it. I mean, that's how I am. If something's on the news or whatever, I'm like when ChatGPT came up as a big topic, I was like, what is that? I'm fascinated. And Now, you can talk to it. It can create a resume for you. It can do all of these things that I learned in literally a minute of quick Googling. So I think it's really important to embrace the technology that's in front of us. It's really important to learn about other technology. I think it's important too to think about what are we doing right now? Like if you're doing your bills and you're paying your bills, like is there a way that you could automate that? Have you ever thought about Googling like what's an easier way to do my bills? And you'll find all sorts of things.
Yeah,
So
it's done.
it's the learner thinking mindset of always trying to find a way to make things easier for you that I think really drives learning in your day to day.
I think that's why these concepts are there to make sure that things are easier for the end users as well. That's what they claim, but yeah, I think that's how we are also learning and we are also evolving. Okay, the last question of this episode. What do you feel employees should contribute to an employee's personal growth? How can companies actually do that?
Well, I think the first thing I'll say is that an employee is responsible for their career growth. They shouldn't be looking to their company to say, you should do all of this for me. So an employee needs to find the time to understand what resources are available to them because every company is different. Every company has different programs and tools and all of that. So I think the employee needs to be driven enough to not have it handed to them in a box, but to go out, ask questions, engage, learn more. There's a very interesting stat that about 64% of employees are not aware of their learning and development teams, nor the programs that are provided, despite emails, company intranet postings, how many times they're communicated with. And that's for a variety of reasons. But to automatically say my company doesn't have anything, especially if it's of a certain size, is wrong. Even if the company only had 10 people in it, there's ways for you to develop yourself, which is having interviews and meeting with other employees and understanding where they came in their career, what tips and tricks they have for you. So career growth starts with yourself. And then it's understanding the programs that are available to you and trying to take advantage of them as much as possible. And if your company has no programs or nothing, there's so much to be gained by gaining feedback from others on how you work and how you perform, getting feedback, understanding what kind of feedback that other person had received in their career. For me, I'm a very direct and to the point communicator, and I've received a lot of feedback about that I share openly with others to help them understand, like, this is what it means to kind of change your style and adapt to who you're talking to, which is really critical if you want to move up in a company. So if I go back to my 8-lane highway, every employee's driving their car and you decide what lane you're going to go on, and you have the power to speed up and slow down and change lanes and do all of those things. And you don't need to wait for your company to give you something in order to do that.
Wow, what a great example. I think people should listen to this, definitely. Okay, thanks a lot, Kerry, first of all, because this entire episode was so filled with real life things that we all go through. And one of the major things that I've seen is that people usually tend to forget that we shouldn't be dependent on others. We should ideally be dependent on ourselves because we are the ones who have to get these things sorted. So, what a fantastic episode. I'm sure there's a lot that our listeners would love in this particular episode, plus the 5 techniques. I'll say the questions were around different things that people can learn in their workplace culture and how beautifully you told the story of how you're driving your car, how you're maintaining that car. It's just a one real life example. I think everyone, any geography that we are in, we will be able to relate to that as well. So great insights, Kerry. Thanks a lot again for coming on the show. As a parting thoughts, would love to know, Kerry, what is your personal motto to success?
Well, besides what's on my wall behind me, which is work hard and be nice to people, I think that I always want to leave people with a good impression as much as I can. And I always want to learn from everybody I communicate with. And if you go through life with that mindset, you will continually become a better person and a more understanding person.
Oh, amazing. I think that's a personal learning, or you can say that a professional learning in your personal growth.
Yes.
So, definitely. So, Kerry, if our listeners would like to reach out to you, how they can do that?
Sure, they can find me on LinkedIn. I should be pretty easy to find. You can message me there. I'm always happy to connect and network.
Okay, amazing. So thanks a lot, Carrie, once again. Thank you, our listeners, for this amazing episode. Thank you so much for all the love that you have shared with us, for the reviews that you have given to us. Stay tuned for more such episodes with a lot of L&D, digital transformation leaders, and digital adoption leaders who make the change in the world of L&D. So stay tuned for more such episodes. Bye-bye for today. We'll see you in the next episode soon. Thank you.